Welcome everyone. My name is Hannah and I'll be your host today from the Epley Institute, Parks and Public Lands here at Indiana University. This webinar is brought to you by the World Parks Academy in association with World Urban Parks. To get started here, I'd like to check our sound to make sure that both Reinhard and Emmanuel, you can hear us okay. If you can, just click the icon at the top of the screen raising your hand and let us know that you can hear us, or type into the chat box. We've already used, so you can notice that. And I'm not seeing any feedback yet, so wait.
I can see Reinhard. He was typing in, yeah, and Emmanuel also. Can you see it also?
I just want to make sure that I think you can hear it. And then if you could go ahead and update your information by the attendee list, click edit the drop-down box and click edit my info. That way we can see where everyone is coming from.
I can add this here also inside.
Yes, you can. So next to the attendee list, there's a drop-down box, and you can click edit my information.
Okay.
So
Emmanuel says that he cannot hear you. Reinhard can hear us well. Aha, Emmanuel said that he can hear Matthew.
Oh, that's strange. So that's good. Wait a moment.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm on the quiet side, so. Is it any louder now?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah. Okay, good. Have to have it closer, I guess. So let's get started. This is Ralf, and he is an international land artist from Germany, and you may or may not have seen his work, but if not, you'll become familiar today. And he's worked all over the world, did some international lawn shows in New Zealand and Germany, and then just got back from a trip in Italy. So here we are. I'll turn the presentation over to you, Ralf. Thank you.
Yeah, great. So Hannah, thank you for letting me be there and yeah, to present some ideas about public space, about art, and about that what art of course can do in landscape and what qualities of landscape has, and art can develop of course qualities of gardens and parks. So I would like to show you some of the pictures of pieces I made, and I will start just in the beginning because Hannah, you said to me you would like to, yeah, have a view where everything has started. So have a look at this. This is the way we are working now with our team, so in black and white. But everything started over here. So as you can see, this is yeah, really a mess of material. So we have over there 90,000 square meters of earth. And when I was a student, I had the idea, because I get the chance in my study time, to sculpture a female figure round about 550 meters long, 70 meters wide, and maybe it's about 7 to 8 meters high. And this was in between an area where people started to build a housing area, and on the other side there had been factory areas. So they needed something because of noise. And in this process, they worked together with University of Applied Science in Hamburg, and they asked Gabriele Stamann, and I was a student of her. And we had been there with 5 students and working on ideas. So I had this idea to make a really sculpture place over there, and but doing it in the way people now develop landscapes, so with all these huge machines. And as you can see, oh, what's this? The wrong color. It should be green. Very surprised. So, okay, you can imagine this dark violet. I hope all the green pictures we get now are not getting violet. This art is green now, and people use it as a park, and it's hardly to see in landscape what there really is. You get to know it, or you get to see it from the sky, or people get to tell you, or you read it in a paper or a book or something like this. So when I started this over here, you need to know from me that I'm really a drawer. I came from hand drawing, and I'm really specialized. So I 10 years in my life I did nothing but sketching and drawing, and so I really can make good portraits and all this stuff. But at this point, I figure out for myself, okay, this is not on a piece of paper like this, you know. It's really in landscape. So I tried to figure out how to make it, and well, I find out, but just trying, and I take for it brush cutter, you know, this machine you have in 2 arms, and in front there is rotating some blade or something that can cut grass. And yeah, it is about 18 years ago that I cut my first lawnmower drawing with these machines, and I figure out that, well, I really can draw in a size like 120,000 square meters big, without measuring too much. So in the last 18 years, of course, you can imagine a lot of things have turned. So I will give you some images of pieces in short time, so you get an idea of what is it all about. So here, oh, I'm very happy about the color. Here you can see the color difference. I'm working now as a drawer. I leave the green behind and cut my drawing just brown into the grass. And even now you can see how fast all this lawn comes back, you know. It starts immediately when it's cut, because lawn is growing every day. I think when it's about 5 degrees plus, then it starts to grow. So it's about only this contrast, green and brown, and of course also about time, because it's coming back very soon. I can work quite detailed with it, as you can see over here. So with these machines, with these brush cutters I work like, you know, I can really work on a centimeter exact. So this here, you can see it's not only a small piece, it's about taking a whole park. So really, if I can arrange a project, I'm always looking on the whole concept of a park. about the landscape experience, because going through landscape is an experience. As here we started to draw a lot of dustbins in Wuppertal, which is in Germany, because this park, which is a wonderful park in a hill, it has a history about 100 years that young people come over there, and they leave a lot of rubbish behind, about 100 years. So I started to make dustbins and say to the greenery people from the city, they should not take away the rubbish for 2 weeks. But we had bad luck at this position because we get a lot of rain, and the people had been not outside. Only at this day, and as we see in this day, maybe not at this picture now, they left a lot of rubbish behind. So, my projects you cannot understand on the first view. So if you have the first view, you will see something like a geometry or some kind of pattern or some kind of symbol, some stuff. But at first, what's this? This work I just did in the Villa Romana in Italy, a small piece, and also it belongs to the history and the meanings of the place, of all the sentences which grave into the history of places. So I said some things about landscape experience. The experience that for me as an artist, as a drawer, is important is how we have an impression in landscape while walking through it. So as you can imagine, seeing this picture over here, also me and the team, we are really walking in landscape a lot to find out what is the sense, what is the genius loci of landscape, and then to develop something about this. And I think this webinar will be interesting for you. So all the people now at the webinar, and also for the persons who see it later, because later on I will tell you all the aspects which is for you as a park manager important to know about what is the positive possibilities to work with art in public space, in your garden. So what is the impact of incorporating arts in greenery systems? So walking in landscape, as you all know, takes time, and all the meanings of landscape and all the aesthetics of landscape you only get if you really take time walking in landscape. And you have a different walk in summer than in winter. You have a different view from one side and from the other side. So I really walk in landscape before I develop my ideas to find out what is interesting for people to see. It's not only about me, I have a lot of ideas, and in Germany we say, we all have it in the desk, and when we need it, we put it out, and then okay, we do it. But no, I have a lot of ideas in my desk, but when I go to a place, I really look what is there, what is special over there. I try to find out what are the hidden points of a garden, of a park. What is something I don't know, and also the other people don't know. What is something which is worth to figure it out. There is one very important artist for all the artists nowadays working with public art, and this is just in the beginning of the land art. Maybe, there had been in the 60s a small group of artists who go out the museum and going to the desert in the American landscape and making their pieces out there and forbid photographs and say, if you want to see this, you gotta go out here to Utah or somewhere, So the main point, and maybe the main person of this, is Robert Smithson. Robert Smithson's idea was that every piece of art got to be site-specific. So only when a piece of art gets his power and his meaning from a place, then it can be bigger than, the art itself. And this is something which is, I think, leading us artists working in public space, until now, and I think for a long, long time. Because if you get in contact with people and they ask, well, why is this? And you have a really good reason. The reason is because of the space, or especially, as I will show you here in some works, about making possible to see the space again, or see what is hidden in the space, what you cannot see, then they really open up their eyes. So, land art in the 60s developed in a very strong manner. So we have nowadays a lot of people working really with the public, and so also me. I'm interested in doing all these things together with people from outside, and to involve people. As you can imagine, when I arrive at such a place like here, this is a lawnmower drawing I made in Ludwigsburg. Montrepos, it's a small castle, and this has been a very formal garden, and then it became a very English garden, and I had the chance to make a small drawing over here, which is a typographical garden, which is one of my ideas, to look at typographical forms and to develop them as a garden idea nowadays. These drawings can be quite small and quite huge. So in the center of London this year, I make this drawing at St. Pancras Church. They had only a very small garden, and I tried out to make text in a very poetical meaning and in a very small scale. But also you can get really huge scale, as you can see over here. This is the second work I made around a city. I will show one more later on. This here is in Würzburg in Germany. A lot of works, of course, I did in Germany. Würzburg is a Minnesängerstadt, a city for, what is Minnesänger? When people sing about the singing culture in the Middle Age, and I had the idea to ask singers, famous singers, local singers today, if they have a song for me, to write a song around the city of Würzburg. So I make this piece over here with a beautiful song, and people, they really start to take a walk around the city. So this is about over 3 kilometers, a song from Philip Pozell. I take a text in this way, and people really go. So, as you can imagine, when I make pieces which are 3 kilometers long, like in Würzburg, I cannot do this alone. I need machines, I need people, I need help in a lot of ways, because I need permissions, and I need support, in different ways. So one thing of working this way in public gardens is to find people who like to take part. And well, as you can imagine, this can be problematic, this can be easy, depending on what you do. I think one of the main reasons that people do something like this is that they really are looking for new experience. So, and I think this is what art can develop for people, having a new experience as a landscape experience, but also as an experience in working. I think we all know a lot of situations where we work and it's not comfortable. But to create a working place which is really a challenge, an interesting area to spend your time, this is something I really like at art projects. So here you can see us for starting. For some of them it was the first time to work with a brush cutter. So every time when we come to a place, I got to not only tell all people what we do and why we do it, but also they get to be familiar with these machines. Because of course we got to take care about a lot of stuff with this. It's not only a brush cutter, it's also a lawnmower, as you can see over here. Here's Josef making a piece of a huge park which has been not created in Längerich, but the original plan of this park was from Peter Joseph Lenné, one of the most famous garden architects from Germany, who, well, I will say he invented something like garden architecture, you know, which is Peter Joseph Lenné. And we take in 2014, me and Reinhard also with us here, we take the chance really to draw this park, which was not created from Peter Joseph Lenné, in a very intense kind of work, because drawing a whole park, this means, well, we spent about 1,600 man hours, and Reinhard in this time, he really managed to get 150 people to the place, not on one day, but you know, on 5 weeks, and they all work together and all figure out what is to do and how to do and how the reactions of people are who are coming along. And this really was a great experience to show the original park in the original architecture, which is built, but the park is not built. Or here also a piece in Wiesloch, we did 2015, Reinhard was also with us. Or here new work, Circle and Square, which I make at the Giardino di Pianamola, near to Roma, Posada Romana. Or this piece over here, and you can see this is a lot of grass cut down. I made in Leipzig. It was a tunnel for a situation with a big street just in between a park, disturbing the park, making a lot of noise. And now there's a chance to do it under the ground. So I made 2 pieces like this, and you can see here it's going into the tunnel, and on the other side it's going out again. Have a brief look about this green. When we come to this picture, you can see the same picture, but you can see how much tons of material we cut to make this possible, to make this visible, to make this experienceable. These are really tons and tons and tons of material we got to put out and bring away for the pieces. And normally the city council takes the green out and bring it somewhere, because they of course have bigger machines. We would have be a problem to take it out with my transit, as you can imagine. So it's not only about art, it's also about taking hard work. You know, it's hard work. You can see here Josef and Monika in Brussels. We made a piece at the Erasmus Hochschule, and you can see them sweat. We really sweat a lot for doing it. and we need always help. So normally, as you see at the pictures, my team is in black and white. But when we get the possibility to involve people, sometimes really people just one day someone said, "Oh, I came there with 3 people or 4 people, and I help you," and people just join because it's interesting for them. Or here, I must say, all the pieces I will show you today, I don't do them for an aerial photo. I do them for the feeling of landscape we have when we are standing on the ground, walking, when we experience the landscape by walking. Because I think we have no wings, but we have legs, and we can really experience landscape by moving. If I would make it only for aerial photo, probably I would really do other stuff than this. I think you will find out with a look deeper at my work. So I tell something about site specificity. Site specificity is for me one of the main things of art, because you get to feel the work before you invent it. You cannot come with an idea and then saying, here, go. No, I think site specificity is about having a feeling of the genius looking. So what is the architecture at a place? What is the history at a place? What do we feel at a place? Who do we meet at a place? What are the big and the small stories of a place? Here I'm standing in New Zealand at Auckland Botanic Gardens, preparing a huge piece I will show some minutes later. So site specificity is something what you really develop for the place. In past times it was different, because artists, they did their pieces in the atelier and then they sold the piece and someone placed it somewhere. I don't think about this. I also don't think about site specificity if you talk about artists who are working outside. You have all this, you know, we have a big art festival and a lot of artists coming and they're getting a lot of stones or a lot of wood or something like this, and then they're working, and in the end they leave something over there behind. No, site specificity is something different. It's really, yeah, custom made for a place and for the meaning of a place. What is the point of it? I think a place, and you as a garden manager, as a park manager, you all know this. A place has very much qualities you can see or you can only see on the second view. I mean, all the gardeners in such a beautiful park like here in Auckland, they invest a lot of time, a lot of knowledge, a lot of organization to make a beautiful park possible. So I'm really deeply in love about garden culture. Gardens are not there by doing nothing. Gardens are there by doing a lot. And there are a lot of intrinsic qualities into a park, into a garden. Things from the past, things from daily work, daily also hard work. And I think garden is a really hard work, but also it makes quite comfortable if you do it. I think the main point of art for me as an artist is to make these intrinsic qualities visible. And you need a plan for this. You really get to think about how to manage it. And you get to organize it with a lot of people, like here Willem de Lange, who is really a great volunteer, a great man, helping me by a lot of people, by a lot of artworks. And as you can see here, we are not just going there starting to mow, but we work it out at the place. We take time for it, because only when you're very exact, people will come and really will be impressed by it. And we take this black suit always as a symbol that we that it's really a festive thing to work. I think I would really be hating myself if I only work in a way that it's just work. It's just, it's just doing. No, I think daily work, not only artwork, is something which take a lot of time of our life and which we should love. So I take it as a festive act. So we dress up in black and white and enjoy ourselves. Enjoy ourselves doing this. So now I start to show you 3 works which are very important for me. This piece over here I just made in Hamburg. You can still see it because I did it in the end of summer, so the winter now is quite strong. It's about 0 degrees at the moment, and the grass is not growing very much, of course, in these days. So you can travel to Hamburg and you can see it. It's a pathway about over a kilometer long, and it gives the people the idea to follow these lines. When you're looking here from the normal view, it has a little bit different shapes than you just see from the sky. So people are invited just to get in and have a great experience by changing their side every minute, And it goes a long way through this park. And as you can see, I came nearer to the trees over there and then to the other side. So I got to work it out. And I don't make this with GPS. And as you can see over here, it has perfect form. It's really going in one line. And I know the first time we had been there, Tobias was with us, and I sent him to go out to find this one form, and I think 3 or 4 hours later he come back, maybe I think 3 hours, and he had only some first positions with the sticks. It's really a landscape experience to draw in landscape, to find the right line, to find out where is the right position for drawing in landscape. And then people come. They just come and take a try. In the first days, they are looking from 100 meters or something like this, and then they just give it a try. And from this moment on, they are walking every day, every hour. There are always people on the side, or taking their bicycles. Very beautiful. So, let me have one more view at my desk over here. This year is a federal lawn show in Cologne. A piece also around the city. It was the first piece I made around the city. The federal lawn show was invented because I find out that this park around Cologne, it was built like one park, but nowadays no one is going around the park because the streets now for 100 years are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Traffic getting more and more and more. So they keep on staying at their one place where they are. They don't go around the city, but it's possible. And to think this park in its original scape, as not a lot of parks, but as one park, I think is very, very interesting. So I take this name Federal Lawn Show because there are several federal garden shows, and I think it's very interesting to work in a different manner and to also to play with these names. The Federal Lawn Show in Cologne was a really huge success. For me as an artist, it was a breakthrough, I can say, because a lot of people from that point on, they looked at my work in a different way. And when I had this idea, I really wanted to do something 10 times bigger than before. Even before I did big works, but this was about 7 kilometers long with a 3-meter pass. And it looks, like this. I'm really going around the city, working with a lot of people, meeting a lot of people from the city. Wanted to get know why we are doing this and what's going on over here, and we talked to a lot of people and get a lot of television and TV and radio also. So I think for you, well, if you ask me as a garden manager, what are the most best points to work with gardens, with parks, with art, then I would say do something really big. Think it really big. Think it in a way not to, some people and they're coming here and working with wood or something like this, but think of all the parks, think of all the history, think of all the possibilities you can do, and just call it really very good artists, because good art itself makes that people really turn their head and say, what are they doing over there? They are spending 1,400 man-hours to make a line round the city. Last month I seen them on the other side of the town. Now they are here. How much time do they spend on doing this? And it's also about quality, because there was one guy, he's talking to me later on, and he says, the first time I heard about your project around the city of Cologne, I said, what's a stupid idea to make a line. But he said he was a jogger, and suddenly he was jogging only on this line, and he experienced these drawings for weeks, for days, weeks, even months, because also this piece grow together in the end of need more time to grow, because it was finished in October. So he had the experience that it changed the landscape, and this is the point I will show you, that art really can change the perception of landscape. So I think this is really a good chance to give visitors of your park a new approach for your park. Communication strategies. There's also one more point. If you have good projects in your park, it's not only that you have something to tell, it's also you have something to go to the press. And in my experience, people really start different to talk about art if you got TV or radio or a big newsletter article. So we had a lot of situations where I worked outside and people came out of their houses and said, I just see it in television, It's still, I think we are all making now a lot of Facebook and social media, which is getting more and more successful for sure. But still, until today, I think TV is a really great motor for working with public ground, with public art, with public parks. Yeah. So, oh, dark violet again. Look at these people. They are standing on a green area for sure. This has been the group when we finished our lawnmower drawing in Cologne after 2 months working quite hard. We have been very, very happy. And here you can see the end of the circle. So we stopped over here and you can see the dark green beginning of the circle on top. So a lot of people helping me. These here are from working at a bank and helping us in Längerich. So it was really a strong team. These four, they really worked unbelievable good this day. I really appreciate this. I need a lot of people, as I told you before, to help me. And it's not only because they come because as an artist you have not the money to pay all of them. Because what they really want to have is an experience, an artist experience, a landscape experience. So we are working outside there with a lot of people coming with me. So I have a list of people I can call, and then they if they have time, they come with me. But also there are people from the place who just came by and say, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And then they are interested, and they join us. Maybe the next day, or sometimes even the same day. So it's also a good possibility to involve people in your park, to get them known, to that people coming to you as a garden manager. I mean, more in your garden, of course. You have not so much contact with them, but in the same moment you make projects where people can take part, then even your park is getting a different meaning for them. So, some more pictures. You can see the team which come to me to New Zealand. Most of them even paid their flight for themselves just to make this experience. Another group. Reinhard, flying there. Yeah. I want to show you this piece over here. This is a piece where I go to the newspaper and say, I'm searching for a place for a borehole to New Zealand. And they, in my hometown, they know the kind I'm working. So they put it into the newspaper and they really find people saying, hello, I have a great spot for you. Even one of the 20 suggestions came from this farmer to the left, which is about a kilometer from my home house. I was born in Löhne, in Bad Oeynhausen, Löhne, near this is a city near to Hanover. And then I was searching for another place in New Zealand, I tell you before, and I take this open area. So I go back and I decided from the 20 suggestions to make this piece at the farm of Friedrich Breuer, and to draw his farm in New Zealand, in the Auckland Botanic Garden, and to put the small things which are in Auckland Botanic Garden, so these trees and a bench and a sculpture which is a boat and a tent, I draw in the area of Friedrich Breuer. So it was a mirror on both sides of the world. If you look at this, I would also ask you, what is the effective way to make great storytelling? You must have a good story. and it's great if you know, it's really effort, maybe a challenge to make this. And if there is a story to tell, you might, we fly over there with 11 people to make this, to also include the film team, the photographer. So a great story to tell is of course a bigger point than to make a project with art only because maybe it's more simple to work with art than to make a big music festival, or more cheap or something like this. Art is something for you as a park or a garden manager, which is even not about money, because there are possibilities to fund the money from the side of culture. So a lot of projects are not funded by garden areas. Of course, this also exists, but they take money for it from the cultural sides, from a museum, from a bank, from a city council interested in public art. Good. So next, we have a lot of meeting possibilities with people, because people are really confronted sometimes. On the one hand, you say, "Oh wow, what a super project," and on the other hand, there are a lot of people. On the first view, quite angry also. You know, they're quite, what are they doing? How do they get the permission for it? So they start to talk with us. I'm not an artist going into an atelier and when it's finished I give it out to a museum and then I go back to the atelier. No, I make a lot of communication, and also my team make a lot of communication, and we meet a lot of people out there. And by this, I mean, we really give the places worth, because yeah, there's something new, and we meet a lot of people, and when they see it there, sometimes they are a little bit unhappy and they're frightened what is happening with the park, if there is a new building, if there's new planning, and we can see the people that they take care about their park, and they find out just in the time we are there that it's really a cultural place. It's not only a place which is there in this state forever. I mean, a garden, a park is always changing, you know, as a park manager. But a lot of people, they didn't recognize it in this way. So it's a good place to meet, and also for you as organizers of a park, it's a good possibility to meet the people in your park, to talk to them, to make PR, and in all ways, like newspaper or internet or even TV. We have a lot of TV with these projects. So you have the chance, on the perspective of park manager, really to make a good event with art, if you work with artists, and you can work on respect of your park. On the other side, as I said before, we as an artist, we can show things of the place which are not there anymore, which are hidden, which are lost. So this really can change the mind. And what is really interesting for you, if you have a changing process at a park, when you know, okay, a lot of things will happen, will change. So what do people think about it if we change? So you can make a project with art where you can say, oh, we have a changing process, but first we make a piece of art. There are some cities who have very good experience with this. I worked together with a couple of artists in Fechel, and they made 12 artworks in a field which was developed from an agriculture area to a living area. And they take the art as a first moment to bring people over there, to talk about their project, to take the time to involve people, to involve the farmers which still live there. So it is a great possibility for community involvement and also for a greenery team, because the gardeners, they really experience this as a moment with respect for the park. And I think this is also important, that you give them some impulse with good energy, that they really do an important job. And I think it is very important. And for you to work with art, as I said about site specificity, I think when you talk to artists, for you it's quite important that you tell them what is the identity of a park. So what is the special thing you find at a park? What is the thing which is not there anymore, but which is lost in history? What is the social behavior of people in the park? Or maybe what is the social behavior you want to change? I collected all, dog rests on one area and make a big number over there. It was very successful. I get TV until Switzerland. Sometimes it's very easy, but poetically, and there are a lot of artists out there who can work with it and who has a feeling about the architecture at a place and how to work with it, about the history of a place and how to add something that history is maybe not problematic anymore, because in Germany we have a lot of problematic places. What to do over there, So you can develop the place and society with art, with working site-specific on the art. So please tell artists who are the users now, or in the past, or in the future, and what are the big stories of a place, and what is the small story of a place. As you can see here, this is a monument for the nations of the battle in Germany. The Battle of the Nation was a battle against the Napoleon army 200 years ago, but 100 years later, so 100 years before, now the Germans built this monument, and they didn't build it for the Allied armies of 200 years ago, but for themselves. So they graved text inside the monument and said, "God with us." And I got the chance here to develop a piece of art for the 100th anniversary. I decided myself to take this God with us, which is only in German language, only meant in German, to translate it in all these languages of nations fighting over there in Leipzig, in Lipsia, 200 years ago. So all the languages of Napoleon armies, so Spanish and Italian and French and a lot, and also from the Allied armies like Sweden and Russian and Germany. And I just write it around these elements, and so does it look like. And this is a place where a lot of people are going to. So there was always people inside the piece, and it looks very good with the people, because when people are moving through the text, you also have the feeling that the text is moving. Didn't expect this, but it was great as a landscape experience. So when you tell artists about a place, then they will think about what makes sense. And even they make great nonsense, it's also good. So if you would ask me, how can you involve people, then I would say artists making the first contact. And the contact is always a chance to meet someone and to make him active in a way. Of course, you got to involve newspaper to if you search for people helping with art. But you can also phone them. Mostly it's faster, or you can put it into a newsletter. And I have the experience that often when a piece of art is going on for a time, then people are coming to you. And on the other hand, you have the possibilities of openings, or exhibition time also, writing invitation cards and all this stuff, really to meet people and involving them. So I always tell people about projects I want to make and hear if they are interested. Let's give it a try. Here I have an idea I want to make. It's an idea from building some peace monument. And the idea is to have 2 lines with text. And I would really like to make it on every continent in the world. And it starts in the middle from me and you. My son, your son. Your aunt, my aunt. So your son, my grandson. And to the other direction, to me and you, my father, your father. My grandfather, your grandfather. Your great-grandfather, my great-grandfather, and so on and so on. So 2 lines can be quite big, can also be quite small. And I'm searching interesting places for this. And if you have an idea about this, have a good space for it. Now here in the webinar or later on if you see it as a video, then just give me a call and write me an email if you have a good space for it. So as you feel now, you're thinking about what space do I have? Is this a good idea for the context my place has? So this is the way I'm involving people every day, just by showing ideas, getting into talk, and waiting. And there's also every time people that are interested and taking part. So what time do we have? Oh, nearly 1 hour. So I will got to close it up quite soon. So let's show some last pictures to see a lot of people very happy, even sometimes when it's rainy. There's something I got to say about this. You as a park manager, you know your park. I must say, me as an artist working often in an atelier, a bureau, and in summer in a park, I must really say we have the chance with this art to work in some of the most beautiful public spaces that exist. This is a public park. And this is really worth for us. And really, we eat together out there. We really enjoy this. It has really great quality to live that all these parks exist. So I think this is the greatest point to start work with. So here is the end. Thank you a lot for taking your time, taking this hour with me. I think I have everything said, but maybe you have more questions, so you are invited to write your questions over here. Or if you hear this webinar later on in the as a video, then please write me an email at mail@ralfwitthaus.de or visit my homepage. And if you visit my homepage www.ralfwitthaus.de, then please leave your email for the email list so you are very I can keep you updated with my projects and information.
Hey, thank you, Ralph. That was very inspiring, and I'm impressed with the scale of your work and how when people they interact with it, it provides them a new perspective. So that was really great. Let's take a few minutes. If you have to leave, that's fine. But if you have time to stick around and ask questions, let's do that. We also have some questions for you here on the right-hand side, just to see what your experience is with art in your parks. And so if you have a moment to answer some of those and share with us, that would be great. But let's take a moment, and if you have a question, type it into the chat box, and we'll go on from there. If not, I have questions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so if you would like to ask me something, I have time, I would be happy. Ah, yeah, thank you.
So I've been experiencing a little lag in my writing here, so I'm just going to ask the question this way. And I was wondering how you get permission to do this work, and if it's you that approaches the park, or if the city contacts you, and what is the process to getting permission to do something on this at this scale?
The little pieces are very simple because the main gardeners, they all know that the grass is coming very fast again. The bigger pieces are more difficult because when you make a piece like around the city of Cologne or like this around the city of Würzburg, or if you have the main park of a town in a very big scale, yeah, planned for an artwork, then you need also the greenery people, they need to give it to the politics. So as I remember in Cologne, it was in, what's the right word for it? So you have groups who decide, political groups who decide if something can happen or not. And I remember we had 3 groups against and 3 groups for the project. And in the end we had luck and we can make it. But mostly I must say, I'm working on this now for nearly 20 years and I get the permissions. 2 pieces I didn't get, but a lot of other pieces I get the chance to make it. Sometimes there are people from some art association or museum or people working with art and festivals coming to me and asking if I can make something. Sometimes it's me because I think the most interesting green spaces I can find myself, and then I have no one as an organizer because I see the green space and think, oh, what great possibility! So I got to make it. I can make 4 pieces a year, maybe 6. So if I count now to the end of my life, maybe if I can work now until I'm 73, something like this, I will have the chance to make about 100 pieces of art. So I have not much time. The summer is quite short for me. So, and also it's not only about 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 weeks outside working, but I need, for every project, I need several weeks to prepare and to organize and to fundraise and everything. So some of the fundraising also is coming from me, not only from the organizer. So life is short somehow, and I'm really interested in what are the greatest ideas to make in public spaces. What is the great context? What is a piece I really would like to make out there? So I'm really curious about green spaces, and I think you know a lot of green spaces, and I don't know it because I'm traveling a lot around, but a lot of people have more eyes. So if you have eyes on a green space now where you say, oh, this really fits good to Ralf, then give me a call, give me an email, and I will Google it or I will come to your place and have a view. And the interesting point for me is there something interesting to tell? Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So has a question here, and he's wondering if you maintain the art afterwards, or is it just a one-time thing?
Normally, I cut it one time, and then I make a photo when it's finished, and then I go. And when I came back, sometimes it's a year later, and it's just away. And I'm standing there, and there is still, and I know from a lot of people coming to my places, they have the remembrance of it is very, very strong. And they're going over it and say, here must it be. No, I cannot see it anymore. But isn't there a small shape of it? But it's mostly it's away after 3, 4, 5 weeks. So the green is there after 2 weeks. It's just, yeah, it fades away. And in winter it stays on longer.
It lasts about. And does your work depend upon the season? You mentioned that you start before winter, so it lasts a little longer. Is that typical, or do you work throughout the year? No
I
matter what?
really love at these pieces that they're only temporary. I mean, can you imagine if a lot of artists out there doing the same than me and the stuff will stay over there all time, then all parks will be full in this world in some weeks, you know. Make no sense. I think it's a great story to making something which is really a landscape experience, which is really art, which is really changing perception of a place, and it's only there for a short time. And if you are not there in this time, you cannot see it. So you got to come, otherwise it's away. Yeah, are there some more questions?
Did it take you long to master the
What?
detail? The detail. It's such detailed work, and how long did it take for you to master that? Was it difficult?
You mean how exact the piece is? So I really
Exact it is.
try to be
What's up?
very, very exact. So I always say it's about a centimeter. Even we have very huge pieces. You feel if it don't fit very good.
So what would you recommend? So not all places have grass, and if someone would want to do some work that is similar in their park, but they live in a dry area, or they have sand, or they have stone, or what would you recommend? You
Well,
talk about site specific, and are you open to doing other work that's not lawnmower work?
I think we have such a great generation of artists at this moment. I think there are so a lot of good artists out there like never before. So I know a lot of people working with every material, and if someone is searching for an artist which would be have no material for me, well, I'll have a look. If someone will say to me, "Can you have a look over here?" I have not grass, but some very interesting place with very interesting history. Yes, of course, I will have a look. I would come and make my mind up. I also do some pieces with different material, but in the main, of course, I'm concentrated on these pieces. And if you're interested in people working with sand or with concrete stuff and all this, I have a lot of contacts to artists, so please write me an email and I will have some suggestions for you. It's no problem. There's a great community of artists out there working with public art, and we will find something good.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else have any questions? Okay. Well, I think it's about time. We've gone 10 minutes over, so wrap up if that's okay with you, Ralph. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
I just wanted to mention we do have a slide here on continuing education units, and you may get credit for this webinar. You sign in on Provalens, and there's a brief assessment that we've prepared for you based off of the presentation today, and then there's a $15 processing fee. So these credits are good if you do have a certificate with World Parks Academy to continue having that certificate. So if you have any questions, you can email me at worldparksacademy@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and thanks a lot, Ralph. Hope to see you again. Come to Indiana.
Yeah, would be nice.
All right, thank you.